Miss Nina. Waiting for Exxon.
Ooh, Golden Wall is a funny map sometimes, though, Cats. I gotta say, there's some funky stuff you can do on this map.
You know, already a pylon on the low ground for both players. We are already playing a different game, and it seems that Nina is willing to play Astrea's game that Astrea was playing against Neep, and she is actually okay. She's done research, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Astrea going to try to go for the Nexus. Okay, all right. Cats, I'm strapped in. I'm ready. You know, I was in the Europe mentality. I was in the mode where I'm like, okay, Cats.
I was giggling as soon as NA starts. You know it's gonna get crazy. I mean, I was just telling you, Ravi. I know these two for a long time. You know, they've been in my team, and I've definitely proxy hatched them both plenty as well. So they are no strangers to strange build orders, essentially. So I am very curious to see how Nina is gonna react here. This is very exciting.
Okay, so the pylon does get canceled there as Nina is getting a sense like, wait, your second gas geysers are only just now finishing up. Like, you really should have more resources. I think that's what Nina should be wondering right now.
Is she walled in? Wait,
is that a full wall?
No,
I think it's a full wall off.
Yeah, that means Nina can't use this probe to scout the gold. That's what that means.
Oh my god, and it dies?
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter if it dies. It was always going to die without scouting the gold. That's the thing is Nina thinks she has delayed or denied the expansion of Astrea, and Astrea has taken a gold to which he can recall probes, for example. It's more likely what we're going to see. There's the recall onto the probes at the gold, and yeah, I mean, this is pretty brilliant by Astrea.
Oh, and yeah, Nina also being walled in. This is, I guess, going to be a little bit of a question of if maybe Nina decided to go for like a double adept opening and rally out. But if you see that your opponent's walled in, why would you? You're just going to make Stalker Sentry. And I feel like it might actually be the hallucination that finally scouts this out.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the thing is Nina thinks she has an edge on a very similar setup where Astrea's playing with a Nexus from behind, but Astrea actually anticipates that Nina is likely to wall herself in because he probably has been working on this build, and it's probably seen enough play that they are developing a sense for what the meta of it would turn out to be, at least internally between the two, and yeah, I mean, he gets away with a gold. That's incredible.
So, Cats, one really important thing to note, though, is that even though, yes, gold is going to provide so many more resources and everything, there's one thing it doesn't provide on this map, and that's a second gas geyser. That's not a Rich Vespian gas geyser. PvP, one of those matchups where gas can be very, very important in terms of resource collection. So I think the double Stargate, you should still have enough gas to afford the double Phoenix production here. But it's just worth noting that Nina will have an advantage in the form of additional gas in exchange for having lower mineral income.
Yeah, she will finally scout the gold. And, you know, when Astrea first dropped that base, Ravi, I was like, oh my god, did he just lose? Because if that probe for Nina goes back to Nina's base, seeing that there's a gold there, I mean, Nina knows to mine the minerals in the middle and just siege it with a stalker or an adept or two. But now that opportunity is far gone, right? Because she never anticipated that this was the case. And now there's Phoenixes that would get rid of those units.
Okay, first 3 Phoenix are now out, and that is the important number where you can start moving in and actually doing some damage and one-shotting workers, but might end up seeing the wait for 5 Phoenix, since that is a solid number where you can actually dive in and start picking off other units, even the sentries if they're a little bit more bare. These are getting a couple of good kills, and remember, this is all about just asserting dominance in terms of map control. The double adept opening over here is going to be able to rally on forward and should be able to snipe off a few probes. There's nothing over there.
Yep. So as long as Nina manages to sync up those attacks, which I'm sure she will, the adepts should get some probes. 3 so far, make it 4, 5, and 6. Oh, no, just the 5. Also resetting the count at the gas.
Yeah, very nicely done there by Nina. Gotta say also, I like that Astrea recognizing the Rotterdam style where you just use one Phoenix. If you lift him up and you have a shield battery there, it doesn't matter if those other adept is just kind of running rampant. It doesn't matter if you don't kill the first adept that you lifted. It just won't do damage through the shield battery.
Yes, indeed. And now you were talking about the problem with the gas that Astrea was facing, but now with that natural base established, he is going up to 5 gases, and he's not gonna have any trouble with the Phoenix numbers.
Yeah, what's kind of interesting is that Nina has just mined out the mineral wall over in the main base and gone for that low ground expansion. If Astrea is paying attention, he didn't quite scout the actual low ground there, but should have noticed as he ran over that the minerals have been mined out. It might have been a little focus on the Phoenix control over here, but oh, there's another opportunity to try and move in and potentially scout this out. Recall even being used. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't like that decision so much because if we look at the Phoenix energy, that's really what the restraint on Astrea is to kill more probes. Is he really has just one more liftoff in there. So the recall a little bit unnecessary, at least for the time being. However, Nina now or soon will have Blink and can move out and into the map and perhaps siege the gold from behind. That would be nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. The recall felt a little bit weird. It could have even maybe been a misclick. Sometimes that happens where you recall instead of chrono boosting, but regardless, it shouldn't play too massive of an impact. The Phoenix are still doing a great job controlling the map, and now third base gonna start getting saturated here for Nina. Ooh, yeah, pick off.
Yeah, nice little pick off onto the Phoenix. And now with Blink, Astrea is gonna have to be a lot more careful, as Nina is gonna be looking for those Phoenix and to hunt them. Another one goes down. And yeah, Astrea's got a big army though already. Immortals.
Oh, this gets really weird too, Cass, because it's Nina expanding along the south side. So if Nina can hold on against this attack right here that's coming at the front, and it's a scary attack though, Cass. But if Nina can hold on, losing 2 more stalkers. I was gonna say the south side of the map opens up the way to like clear off that gold base and deny mining, but Nina's looking to be in a really tough spot right now.
Yeah, that Wolof can be easily sieged. Unfortunately, losing 1 stalker there to basically, she probably thought that she shift clicked them, but okay, this is a very, very nice move. We saw Raynor earlier against Serral always poking back, and that's kind of how he managed to get back into some of these positions where you're pinned back. You have to make something else happen out on the map, otherwise you're just taking damage. So I love this from Nina, who's sniping probes now.
Yeah, Cybercore is actually going to go down over there for Nina. Nina also going to try and do that Blink Stalker. Micro, I want to note there is no Cybercore right now, so we can't actually warp in any more Blink Stalkers. It's just about this army right here and Zealots, I guess. Shield Battery Overcharge does get Focus Fire down. The Immortals not really participating in a lot of this fight just yet for Astrea, though. They're all in the back lines, but once they get involved, it's going to get brutal.
Yeah, I mean, unless Nina manages to kill enough by the time they get involved. Astrea's warping in a few more units. Nina trying to push out with the probes, but it doesn't look like she has enough at all. And Astrea is gonna push in for the win, it looks like.
Yeah, just doing so much damage. And yes, the worker counts are now evened up. So you think, oh, well, it's maybe okay, but just the firepower of the Immortal. The Phoenix are going to continue to get additional lift up. And remember, even some of the production was knocked out there for Nina. The Cybercore only now gets restarted, Cass. It's not like there's charge for Zealots that gets warped in. You can't warp into death. These are slow Zealots that will even take extra damage from the Phoenix.
Yeah, it's an impossible situation from here on out for Nina. She is going to do everything that she can, pull probes and try to, stick around, but it's not going to work out. And Astrea looks like it's going to close Golden Wall in style.
Oh, man, what a crazy game. GG. Astrea with that 1-0 lead and some really, really cute decision-making in that game.
To say the least, Ravi. I mean, taking the gold, that is, I haven't seen this meta develop, so it's very difficult to say because these players might have played, maybe 10 times in a similar situation, or 15 times or 20 times to where they realize what the answers might be, or maybe Astrea saw the wall from Nina or something that made him feel confident that if that probe wasn't scouting the gold, it wasn't going to be scouted. Because I promise you, if it gets scouted, it's not a good strategic choice, I think.
That's like, I'm already thinking, like, if Astrea ends up winning this and we do manage to get him, like, on for an interview or something, my first question is going to be, like, Has your Nexus on Golden Wall, that when you try and go in for Nexus first, has it been blocked before? Is that just a response that you came up with because it's happened to you, or was that an on-the-fly decision? Because, yeah, you're right. It has a lot of risk associated with it, but it felt like Astrea was so quick to just make that decision. Like, it's blocked here, I'm going to the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely did that, and also the decision to wall in the probe again. Like the two decisions are pretty much linked together, because if you make one decision and not the other, then all of a sudden it's a bad decision. So he had to think of both of those, which is pretty freaking cool, I gotta say. Ice and Chrome is gonna be the next map.
Okay, game number 2. Now, of course, I feel like Golden Wall, that map is a specific map where we get to see some of the Nexus first shenanigans that Astrea likes to pull out, and we even saw Nina going for. That is a very map-specific thing, and I think that Ice and Chrome, we should be seeing probably something a lot more similar to the normal PvPs, I'm guessing, where it's good old 2-gate openings. You get to see double Stalker or double Sentry or double Adept kind of openings and proxy pylons, all that good shenaniganry.
Yes, indeed. I think it's going to be crazy no matter what. I'm not going to attempt to predict a PvP, much less a North American one, and much less with these two participating. Spawning in the top right-hand side, it is from Exxon, Nina.
And in the bottom left, we have the red Protoss player from Team Alpha X Esports. It is Astrea. I'm glad that you actually brought it up, Cass, and just that trying to predict these guys is a little bit difficult. And especially, I think Astrea was one of the first players that I saw deviate from some of the norms in PvP. And I want to note, this was a while ago and everything, but it was after double gateway openings had become very common. It was either you open up double Stalker, you open up double Adept, or you open up Stalker Sentry. It's like there was almost no in between. And Astrea was the first one that I saw coming up with builds where he's like, I'm going to open up 4 Sentry. And you're just like, what? No, Astrea, stop. You can't open up 4 Sentry. You're just going to die to a bunch of these things. It's like, actually, no, if I get this up and then I follow it up with 2 more Stalkers, what I can do with how I force field and how I actually hold off against like quadruple Stalker pushes and all this stuff, is like, no, I can actually do this. I just have to play perfectly. And I'm like, I watched him play a game. He showed me a replay, and I'm like, Astrea, you're actually a god. You're actually a living legend. And that's the kind of player that Astrea is. He loves coming up with these fine-tuned little deviations from the norms.
Yeah, Nina on the other hand is much more intuitive of a player, I think, than Astrea is. She will kind of just get inspired and do the moves and do the things, and a lot of the time, she won't be able to tell you like exactly what she was thinking even at the time, but she will do it, and she will do it better than just about anyone. So they're definitely an awesome matchup against each other. I completely agree with you. Both of these players like to try out different things. I think one time I was in a call with the North American Protoss players, like a Discord call. And Astrea and Nina were both in it. And we were watching a replay where Nina was trying to show how she was microing or was planning to try to adapt to mute us with Warp Prism Archons, right? And just getting speed Warp Prism. And kind of everyone was like on the side of no. And it's like, all right, I mean, let's think about it and let's, And Astrea was the other person that was kind of encouraging, like trying to think about the actual holes, not just saying no because stats didn't do it, but rather trying to understand in what position it could be useful. For example, what are the advantages? Like, yeah, you'll take more damage, but hey, also you'll have more for your push, right? Like this kind of thoughts are not foreign to these players. And yeah, of course we have this gateway. I'm sorry.
yeah, no worries. I think it's all very, very important things to bring up because that's one of my favorite things about Astrea is he's very open-minded. And I think Nina also very open-minded in her own way. But that gateway is kind of interesting because it is creating a hard wall there, prevented the Adepts from making a quick move across the map. And the Stalkers managed to pick up one of the Adepts. Astrea pushing forward and not only going to have a proxy pylon gateway over here, but again, it also just delayed Nina.
The other battery has to shield. No, wait. Oh, there it is.
Oh,
all right. Maybe a little bit of a debate.
Yeah. But I mean, that is still a very softened up shield battery. And now the shield battery on the backline is out of energy. And it's going to be the one that gets Photon overcharged. And now that means that's going to be an easy target for the pickings. One of the shield batteries goes down. The Stalkers are getting right-click down. Astrea making big plays right now.
Yeah, I think a little bit of a mistake by Nina to choose that shield battery to overcharge. Perhaps not accounting for the fact that you don't need energy on it to actually get use of the overcharge, right? Like that's the kind of mistake that you will make when new things enter the game and you're not in that second sure how it works, right?
Oh, the Immortal's so far away, Cats. I actually think you get the pylon, there's gonna be no more Stalker reinforcements until the Immortal pops. This Stalker count can actually just take on everything that Nina has. The pros being pulled off the line, that is a worst case scenario against another Protoss player.
Yeah, it's so very difficult from here on. What a nice attack from Astrea. The Immortal will pop up, so this will get cleaned up for sure, but at what cost? Or is she still in it? I mean, 24 workers, Ravi, is this playable?
Okay, here's the thing, Cats. If we didn't have both of the gateways depowered, if we didn't have the Nexus on the low ground not being mined from because there was a full wall, like if there were a lot of these other things not being the case, and even 3 Adepts are going to roll on in, they're going to ignore the Immortal and just right-click down probes.
Yeah, and that just exacerbates the advantage that he was already attaining. Astrea, that is, I mean, this is, exactly what you want to do is pile onto your advantage. I hurt your economy, I'm just going to keep hurting your economy. It's kind of like just attacking the same area, right? The weakened one.
Oh, man. And remember that Astrea was already up 1-0. This is devastating amounts of damage. And remember, we're talking about momentum-based player. Nina needs to build out that momentum. This is a hard momentum halt.
It really is. And you talked about it. Astrea is going to want the 3-0. And I mean, against Nina, if she's not feeling good, after a loss or two, if she feels, she will kind of, dwell on it sometimes. She'll be like, oh, I shouldn't have lost that, and think about it, and that'll be in the back of her mind going into the next game. So I think she needs a reset. I wouldn't mind her asking for like a minute or two to recompose should she lose this game, which is what it's looking to be.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best case. And I have to commend Nina. Like, we talk about how there's a lot of this momentum-based stuff, and I totally agree that it has been one of the weaknesses for Nina's play, and just having that mentality after, losses and everything really affect her going into the next game. I will say, though, I think the last year, Nina has deliberately been making massive moves to try and work on exactly that mentality. She's gotten a lot better about it, so I still have some faith Nina can move into the next game and still be okay. And you can see that she's just trying. I think part of why she stays in games like this, it's not that Nina has like some misconception like, oh, maybe I'm not that far behind. I think Nina is just looking for ways that she can get herself to feel a little bit better, like do some nice pickup micro or do some nice fancy moves and feel a bit better. But there it is. GG. Astrea takes a 2-0 lead.
All right. So well done by Max Angel in that game. Nina's gonna have a very difficult time climbing back up here. Like you said, she's a momentum-based player, and this is a halter.
Yeah, I really like something that you actually brought up at the beginning there, Cass, before we were rudely interrupted by an amazing opening over there from Astrea. But Astrea, I feel like both Nina and Astrea are very open to the idea of experimentation and everything, but the way that they experiment is very different, right? Astrea is the planned experimenter. He isn't the guy that I feel like is oftentimes going into games and just saying, I'm going to wing it. He comes up and really experiments and comes up with builds, tries them, tests them, figures out how to make them work, and then implores them. Nina is the player that, you kind of mentioned this before, like the way that Nina is very intuitive, to the point where Nina has actually said, I don't know to the degree that this is the case, but Nina's kind of said like, yeah, for a really long time, like I just didn't do build orders, Ravi. I just kind of played the game and just made stuff. Like there was no concrete definition. I just sort of went with what works. And I think that actually also is reflected in the way that Nina really, really hits her stride when it comes to scrappy games, where build orders fall apart when your economies aren't where you expect them to be. So it's experimentation in completely different ways.
Completely agreed. Yes, Nina is more of a prospector, you could argue. She's more into like the paths as they unfold and seeing what door to take, and I relate a lot to her in that sense. I think I'm the same type of player. you know, I go in and I put a hatchery in your base, and I'm like, okay, let's see what you do. And I think that's kind of the game where Nina thrives. I've had some of the most fun games ever, obviously, against Nina, especially, you know, when I was still decent enough to give her somewhat of a match. She's incredibly fun to play against. And I think you're right. Astrea is a little bit more methodical. He's more of a planner. So those are different strengths that these players display, and it's awesome to watch and to see them pitted up against each other as well.
Yeah, we even got to see a little bit of that planning in that last map, and it seemed like Nina, I mean, I think if Nina's given the opportunity to try and react and change things up, that's how Nina can start coming back. And, you know, disrupting the plans of Astrea is oftentimes one of the biggest ways that Astrea kind of falls off a little bit, where Astrea comes in, there's a plan, and, you know, it's like the old saying, you know, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Well, Nina's got to punch Astrea in the face before the plan goes into action. Like, that's the way I think you get to Astrea.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And I mean, in PvP, there's a lot of that going on. So I felt like Nina went into game one thinking she would accrue an advantage from the get-go, because it seemed like she had a plan there, a quick plan, a plan that gets the game started right away, right? It's not a plan that's like super detailed and this is what I'm gonna do in the mid game and, you know, go into double Stargate something or anything like that. It was more like, I'm gonna send out my first probe, and if he does what I think he's gonna do, I'm gonna get ahead because I'm gonna get a Nexus. He's not gonna get a Nexus, right? And that's both of our plans. So it's a very short start of a plan that kind of sets off a fuse, but Astrea adapted so very well to it. Yeah, and game two was kind of his show. So this is looking difficult for Nina. But yeah, she needs one of those punches again, like what we saw in game one, and have it roll through. Go for the 1-2.
So I'm gonna throw something out there, Cats, but I'm a little bit hesitant to say that this is actually what I think might be a really good plan here. But Eternal Empire, if I recall, so it's one of the maps I've seen Nina do something that she brought out that was so strong, and she actually took a map off of Neeb with it. It is the 3-gate cannon rush. So basically, you end up proxying the 3 gateways and the forward also on your opponent's side of the map. And this would be around the location of like a normal third base or something for wherever Astrea ends up spawning. And then you basically just rally Zealots forward, but you're also getting a cannon safety like net behind all this, especially because in PvP, you tend to wall. So I would love something like that from Nina just to get in Astrea's groove.
Yeah, and I could totally see it because it's the type of strategy that can reset momentum, right? A quick win perhaps would be nice to take if you're Nina in the bottom left-hand side of the map. I love that reef. She's got this.
Up here on the top right-hand side of the map, we have the man, the myth, the legend. It is Max Astrea Angel. Cats, with a name as metal as Max Angel, you just know that in my mind, Astrea is the one playing those guitar riffs during the game.
That would be amazing. Yeah, he does have the coolest name. He does have the coolest name. I mean, this has been a fact known for a long time. How do you even, I guess if you're his parents, you just go with it, right? It's pretty easy if you're his parents, I guess. Like if your last name is Angel.
That's a great point. I don't know what his parents' names are.
Good question. They must be something
Max
super
Angel,
cool.
Son of Min Angel.
Min Angel? Who would be like Min Angel though? That would be really mean grandparents, no?
Min Devil, yeah. That's the joke I always use with him. I'm like, hey, who's your march nemesis? At this point, he actually responds. He was like, Min Angel.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually feel like Astrea is probably one of the easiest people in the StarCraft community to get along with. Like, he is friends with everyone. Anyone that meets him is probably just friends with him because he is just so friendly and he's so open-minded to anything that people say.
Yep, and he's always smiling. So yeah, he's like
true.
the most approachable person ever. He's incredible. He's awesome.
Well, he's gonna be approaching Nina with a Robo on the other side of the map. That's gonna be an aggressive one. This is a build order style, like the 3-gate Robo, which I assume the last gate was gonna be coming down at that proxy. This is a build that just plagued the matchup for a really long time, and it's still kind of a question. Ooh, okay, that's a good scout. This is still one of those things where I think it's not easy, regardless, to still hold off. But if there's one thing I can count on Nina for, it's that on one base, holding off against a similar kind of build order where it's gateways and a robo back at home. I think Nina, you can rely on that micro.
Yeah, you talked about it before. She has incredible micro, and that's a little bit where we saw Astrea, maybe not so flaky in the early game, but maybe in the later stages against Neeb, right? He didn't feel, I think, as comfortable in those engagements as he did in his strategy. So yeah, I think this could play to Nina's strengths here.
All right. Oh, Proxy Pylon on the other side of the map is going to block Astrea from immediately expanding behind us and just transitioning out. Nina gonna get aggressive with the Stalkers. All right, this can be a little bit dangerous if the War Prism's already out. You could potentially start chasing down some of these Stalkers, but setting off the Immortal Hardened Shields is gonna put it on cooldown for a little bit.
Yeah, poking in, and there's no real reason to poke in, but I guess knowing that it's a War Prism instead of an Immortal, is that something, Ravi, or is it always a War Prism at this point?
I think you, especially if it's a one base kind of thing, it's almost always going to just be the War Prism, because you need to be able to elevator things around, and it's not, the War Prism provides value to your Stalkers as well, right? Because you can pick those up, and if your opponent Photon or Battery overcharges, you can also just pick up and escape out of there a lot faster. So yeah, I think
Astrea is a madman, Ravi. He's dropping a Stargate behind it, nearly done now.
Okay, so we'll see if
fake at this point, right? Oh, yeah, I mean, what was that? She canceled her Nexus. Why?
Oh,
that's a cool animation, by the way. But what happened?
Did Nina just scout the other side of the map? Maybe Nina just reconsidered and thought, like, oh, maybe my opponent isn't. Oh, maybe it was a mistake.
It looks like it was, because she just took it right away. Yeah. So I think it was probably just a misclick, sadly. Oh, those are so painful, Ravi.
Oh, that's extremely difficult to deal with. The double Immortal drop is also going to be able to snag a kill on one of the Stalkers over here. And that whole advantage of Nina having a much faster Nexus and going to have a better economy and everything, all of that more or less just gets like negated by a large margin now. And the Phoenix play over here, going to be able to pick up any Immortals that Nina has, going to be able to do a lot of damage to the War Prism. This is tough.
Yeah, Astrea anticipating that the War Prism might move out for Nina on the counter offense. So really, really cool that he is making that Phoenix already. I mean, he is so very good. But yeah, not having this Nexus is so very bad for Nina, who is most likely gonna have to pick these two up, go to the low ground and recall. No, oh, nice! That's even better. Oh, that was so clever.
Gonna be able to recall it while it's in mid-air. I love it. Really, really nicely done. And nice attempt there from Astrea to try and prevent that recall with the pickup there. But now Astrea is going to be able to continue this harassment with the double Immortal War Prism harassment of his own. And Nina just, there's nothing you can really do to completely shut this down if Astrea doesn't mess up the micro. Like, it's just gonna be there. It's gonna keep units here. It's gonna keep you feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah, at the same time, Nina will get comfortably ahead in the macro department now over 10 workers, 11 workers to be exact. So even though there's Phoenix out, they really haven't been able to do too much in that front.
Very important to note that. You're definitely right. And okay, we see a little War Prism on War Prism action there as the Immortals mostly wasting a lot of their shots on the poor Zealots. That's actually just absorbing everything. Oh, the late pickup over there from the Phoenix. A nice idea from Astrea, but the execution not quite there.
Yeah, and Nina's execution just really, really good. Not even losing any shields or any real HP rather on those units. Okay. Now Astrea kicking off a sentry, but will cost a Phoenix.
And when you're only on 4 Phoenix, where are the other Phoenix? I mean, there's only been 2 over there, so I feel like maybe the other Phoenix are actually on patrols. Yeah, I think they were over back at home, getting ready for like another War Prism move out or something, which is really just not the case anymore. So, and start sending them across the map.
Yeah, these Immortals are gonna get threatened. They have been super annoying. They're trying to snipe the Immortal of Nina actually. And now the Phoenixes might be looking to go into the main and pass the natural to make room for the Immortals. But no, the mineral line at the natural is actually quite open as the Stalkers of Nina a little bit of position.
Yeah, one thing I want to address for anyone that is wondering, why does Nina keep throwing down force fields against Immortals in a Warp Prism? That makes no sense. They're just going to get picked up anyways. There is a little quirk about the kind of Immortal micro here, which is when a Warp Prism is out of range of an Immortal and you tell it to pick up an Immortal, it will move close in to be in range and then come to a full stop, then pick it up. So it actually is a little bit of a delay. So what Nina's trying to capitalize on, is that the Warp Prism is staying at the maximum range that it can stay and still pick up the Immortals. And the Force Field knocks the Immortals a little bit further forward, and then the Warp Prism actually will kind of miss micro, and it'll take an extra 1.5 seconds to pick up the Immortal. And that's where Nina's hoping to snipe it off. But Astrea's been keeping the Warp Prism just close enough that it's not mattering.
Alrighty, so this Warp Prism will continue to do its magic, and sentries are no longer so much. Oh, there's actually still 3, so we could see that interaction yet again. Thank you there, Ravi, for the wisdom, and we're gonna see the Phoenixes of Astrea kind of just hightailing back to his base.
Yeah, the Colossus transition. I mean, we saw a little bit of this in the PvP with Tweed Drogo, but Drogo said, I think in the interview himself, that he won the game, that he was going for all those Colossus when he was already decently ahead. And this is going to be a situation where Astrea is kind of playing a bit from behind and dealing with a very scary push out. But look at how sentry heavy that army is, Cats. That does complicate things a little bit.
Yes, indeed. And Nina has moved mostly unannounced here, so Astrea does have his army consolidated, but this is a huge force from her. Nearly 30 army supply, now 20 army supply ahead of Astrea. So yeah, there's the complexity in those Colossi, but not that many Phoenix are gonna struggle to add much to this. And Nina blinks in confidently. I think she's got it here, Ravi.
Yeah, Colossus getting taken on out. Another Colossus ends up falling. That's all of them. And Astrea is dropping rapidly in supply. The Immortals go down, and Nina is going to start building some of that much-needed momentum.
Amazing. And now we have a series in our hands. I really did not want a shutdown. I think it does not speak fairly of how these two match up against each other. So we are going to take it to a quick break. And when we get back, we'll finish this amazing match. Welcome back to DreamHack Masters. We are in the middle of an amazing best of 5 between Nina and Astrea, and I am joined by Robbie. Fear Dragon, what's up, dude?
There is a lot that's up again, which is once again, Cats, it's my mood. Because we're getting such a great series. We're getting so many chances that we get to go to a game 5. And you know what, Cats? It's getting a little worried with how this series started, but Nina able to build up some momentum in that last game. And I think that's so important for her to be able to do if she wants to bring it to a game 5.
It's gonna be crucial. It's gonna be extremely important. And yeah, I think that with this confidence, we might see a more playful Nina. It feels like Astrea has been bringing most of the playfulness to this best of 5, right? He's been kind of the off character that you would kind of expect both of them to be in game.
Yeah, I actually love the adjective you're using of playful, right? Because when I think of Nina and I think of watching her stream and seeing the really crazy micro moments, the times that Nina just, I watch it and I say, Nina, I feel like you're microing better than Stats in Classic. And I actually genuinely mean that. When I see those moments, it's oftentimes when Nina is being very playful and she's doing things that are out of the norm. And sometimes it's when she's sitting in chat and like she's talking, like, you know, she's playing a game against Jim Rising or something and they're bantering back and forth, you know. I throw back to the days where Nina would play a lot versus True on the ladder and stuff. Like, that's the Nina that I think of when I think of the top-notch level of play, where she's at the point where she's literally just wants to banter, both in actual text form and in her play.
Yeah, we'll see if she's able to bring it, but ahead of her is her opponent, one of the best protos in North America. Very fair to say, it is Astrea playing for Alpha X.
And up at the top right-hand corner of the map, the blue Protoss player who started a comeback, but can she finish it? It is Nina. Can I level with you, Cats? There's something that annoys me about Team Exxon.
What's up?
In the logo, it's a lowercase e and a capital X. And then in the clan tag, it's a capital E and a lowercase x, and then a capital O. Inconsistency, Cats.
Inconsistency, indeed. Yeah.
That's my finishing thought on it. Yeah. I have no other thoughts on it.
I have no objections, Ravi. I'm completely with you. I can't say, yeah, I don't have a save there. It's, yeah, you're right.
See, can't all be like top-notch teams like Root, where it's just very good branding. Everything is capitalized.
Yeah. Root!
Well, Root. Yeah, Root for Root. All right. Well, we do have a pretty normal opening, double gateway from both players. I'm trying to remember how actually the last game originally opened up with the units. I believe it was double stalker from Astrea, right? Because we went for the proxy robo.
I believe so.
And Nina put forward
I think that's just a fake proxy pylon, right, from Astrea?
Yeah, I think so. Because usually if you're gonna do a real proxy, you leave the probe actually over there. And Astrea, oh yeah, he's gonna just send the probe in. I wonder what he was trying to avoid, because it's not like the adepts or stalkers would have been out in time to deny this probe from moving in. It moves in regardless.
Yes, indeed. So Astrea will get the full scout and gets to see where all the pylons are, whereas Nina has not found the pylon of Astrea, so that she has to keep in the back of her mind, right? And we see what that's causing on that probe. That's extra stress, that's extra thoughts, that's distractions on the side of Astrea, and Nina has to be concerned about most things, which opens up for the possibility of making mistakes, essentially overreacting, underreacting.
Wow, yeah, look at that. Astrea just scouting around everywhere for any potential proxies with these adepts. Really, really going out of his way to verify things. And Nina doing the same in the top left-hand side with a good old probe maneuvering around, trying to find where that missing pylon might very well be. But Adept's going to shade. They actually do not go all the way up. Okay. Oh, wow. Letting the Adept shade finish. Going to be able to snag a sentry kill over here. That actually already is some really good value.
Wait, you think so? For two Adepts, though? Oh, okay. One probe more.
Specifically, Cats, I like that because Nina opened up with 3 stalkers and it was just a single sentry. So now how does Nina get scouting information? There's no hallucinating Phoenix coming out anytime soon. You have to rely on, let's say, the probe scout over here.
Yeah, and you know what, Ravi, to double down on that thought, she also doesn't know where the second pylon was, so she's even super duper blind. So yeah, that's a pretty awesome pickup.
It's the 4th sentry opening that I was talking about, where it's double adept and then you got the 4 sentries back to back. And think about it. You were just talking about how, yeah, Nina's got to be so wary of all these potential things that could be coming out. And Nina's going to stay at home because of that. And Astrea is just going to get away with 4 sentries building up energy, having consistent hallucinations to scout around the map. Nina is finally going to move out, but by the time it gets to Astrea's side of the map, I think that there should be not only a shield battery and everything that's all set up over there, but more weapons to deal with this.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Oh, and Astrea very cleverly is looking to hold this ramp instead. That's where Nina's adepts come into play. However, as she is going to try to slide past the door of Astrea, but there's going to be a probe there to block that. Yeah.
Really, really good point. The adepts are pretty much what prevent those 3 stalkers from just getting force fielded out and taking a lot of damage. Pylon, the proxy pylon does finally get sniped off, and that is a bit of a supply block there for Astrea, but it looks like he saw it come and had 3 pylons already finishing up immediately after losing it.
Yeah, at this point, the aftermath, it's kind of similar to last game, only in the favor of Astrea, in the sense that he is the one that has a pretty hefty worker lead.
Yeah. The worker lead is also going to be complemented by Blink finishing up. Now, it's Blink Stalker versus a Robo opening. So the thing that Astrea will be lacking are things like those Immortals. But look at that fast tech up into Disruptors. Cats, I got to say, I know M. Canning gets a lot of praise for his Disruptor play. Nina is another one of the absolute top-notch Disruptor players in North America.
Without a doubt, Ravi. She is so very good at that and at multitasking with her army at the same time. So we'll see if she's able to bring him into play, because the scary thing is that Blink is one of the best responses, I imagine, to Disruptors.
Yeah, absolutely. If Adepts, for example, are considered like one of the worst, because you just don't have the ability to micro out of the Disruptor shots very easily, whereas Stalkers can blink around and be extremely mobile and gonna be able to snap off a pylon potentially and then just blink out of here. Look at that, just actually depowers the Robo as well. Disruptor did make its way out before the Robo got depowered, so at least Nina has 1 Disruptor out, but that still sucks.
Yeah, that was a nice blink reveal on the side of Astrea. Now Nina's gonna have to be a little bit more careful, not conceding ground as easily. And this Disruptor, however, did Astrea take note of it? Is he expecting it?
I don't. I mean, the Stalkers are all on the other side of the map. I guess this is sort of in some ways like a Widowmine drop, where if you just react quickly, you can avoid losing 7 workers. Oh, that's going to actually sting a bit. But hey, Astrea is now going to be sitting behind in workers. You're talking about how I was sitting ahead earlier.
Yeah, it's definitely like a Widowmine drop, only it's a lot rarer than a Widowmine drop, I would say, right? It's not a thing that happens as often, so it's not a thing that you're actively considering in this matchup necessarily. Now, seeing as you're playing Nina, maybe it is something that you should keep in the back of your mind a little bit more. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I can't blame Astrea too much for that. You see a War Prism, I don't even think that it's necessarily the Disruptor that's gonna pop there.
It's a Nina special, right? And Nina originally made her name for herself off of Blink Stalkers, but then when she kind of rose back up in the scene, it was off of Colossus drops, which eventually transitioned into Disruptor drops with the launch of, Legacy of the Void and Disruptors being introduced to the game. So something I really, really enjoy seeing from Nina. But Astrea got that Blink Stalker upgrade and it's going to be moving out at a time where Nina does not quite have Blink just yet. So there's a little bit of opportunity to play around over here, but Astrea has to be so careful because definitely outnumbered here.
Yeah, I'm gonna force a Blink.
Oh, that's actually game deciding.
That's
I don't know.
Game, I think. I don't know what
you can't come back from that. that was the entire army of Astrea. Astrea would need an equally insane Disruptor hit, and I don't even think it would be enough because the Immortals would at least survive the Disruptor hit.
I don't know what to say. I mean,
Astrea, I will credit him a little bit. He is. Well, actually, no, he's not even playing from Korea anymore. No credit to Astrea.
No, man, he needed like 2 more shots, or it's easy to miscalculate. But
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, to Nina's credit as well, she stood her, or at least went for the shot, right? And Astrea was the one that stood his ground and
another disruptor out.
Underestimation. Oh, this is big.
Blink is oh my god, it's a massive connection. Is Astrea back in this?
No.
The Immortal's also taking some damage.
Oh, no, that connection was too huge, Ravi. There are still disruptors in production. No, please, no more.
Oh my god, Nina's not actually blinking out of these disruptor shots. I think she already used her blink. Oh, this is brutal. I cannot believe Astrea managed to pull this back with 3 insane disruptor hits.
Yeah, I mean, the first one was the one that was just so crushing. And I think after that, it's Nina just kind of really feeling the impact of that, first disruptor shot to where it shakes her, because it's very uncharacteristic for that to happen, especially when she already has that momentum going, where she's not just back in the game but ahead of a disruptor shot of similar magnitude.
Wow. All right. Well, you know what? I'm not counting anyone out anymore, cats. 1 disruptor's out on the map over here for Nina. Gonna fire that shot. It is going to whip. There's another disruptor coming out behind this eventually for Nina, but it's also gonna rally to the front. And these force fields are actually just keeping the entire army out. Disruptor does get blunt on.
Very confident, very nice blink there. And now I think Nina has a chance to hold, especially as this disruptor comes off cooldown. The first one is being focus fired, but Max will lose 1 stalker for it.
Yeah, remember that the reinforcements are coming in a lot faster over here for Nina. Max actually, or Astrea, doesn't really have a proxy pylon or anything. They are rallying across the map. Finally, the Warp Prism has arrived. Got to be careful with that Warp Prism. Do not want to lose it over here. Your reinforcements are going down the drain, but turns it into an opportunity. Science off stalkers and another disruptor over here. Nina down to 0 disruptors, and now Astrea brings in his own.
Yeah, and this is becoming more and more difficult as Nina gets pinned against her own wall, because she can't really retreat without losing a Nexus. The probes are going to have to get involved, but without any disruptor shots left for Nina, I think this is bound to be bad trades for her.
Yeah, just losing all these probes is really going to sting. The disruptor shot not quite in range either. And I love that Astrea has an observer that's now going to be sitting over the army of Nina. This is actually a quarter of the battle with Disruptor versus Blink Stalker, is knowing when the Disruptors are there, so you can have the opportunity to blink forward on top of them. 1 Disruptor shot goes off, but now Blink's on cooldown, and boom, down go more Stalkers. And Astrea's going to take the 3-1 victory.